My beloved child, stop and listen. This is not random, and it is not here to frighten you. It is here to protect you. In the next 3 hours, something shifts, and you need to be present for it. I know your mind wants to rush, to question, to scroll past, but this moment is not chaos, it is divine order meeting you exactly where you are. There is a difference between fear and warning, and what you are hearing now is not fear, it is covering. Stay with me, because what seems small right now carries weight you cannot yet see. If you ignore this, nothing will suddenly collapse, but something meant to align may quietly pass you by. Not as punishment, but as timing unmet. And I do not want you to miss what has already been set aside for you. Because before you even pressed play, before your thoughts began racing, something was already in motion. A door paused, a conversation delayed, a decision held back for a reason you could not see. You thought it was coincidence, but it was intervention. Right now, in this narrow window, protection and opportunity are standing side by side. This is why you feel that subtle tension, that quiet pull telling you to stay. Do not rush away from it. In a moment, you will understand what almost happened, and why you were guided here before it could unfold fully. Stay steady, breathe, and listen closely, because what is being redirected around you carries consequences you were never meant to carry. You are not here by accident, and this moment will reveal why the next step must be taken with awareness, not fear. Keep watching, because the truth behind this interruption is about to become clear to you now today. What you are feeling right now, it is not random. That heaviness in your chest, that quiet pressure behind your thoughts, even the way your breathing feels slightly off, it all has meaning. My beloved child, this message did not stumble into your life by accident. You were guided here, even if it feels like you simply clicked without thinking. There is a difference between coincidence and alignment, and right now, you are standing inside alignment. I can feel the tension you've been carrying. The overthinking that doesn't seem to switch off. The moments where everything feels unclear, like you are moving but not progressing. It is not just in your mind, and you are not imagining it. Stay with me, because this matters. That tightness in your chest, that subtle unease that follows you even in quiet moments, it is not weakness. It is awareness. Your spirit has been picking up on something your eyes could not yet see. And instead of ignoring it, you were led here. You may have told yourself you are just tired, just stressed, just overwhelmed. But there is a deeper layer beneath that surface. Something has been pressing against your peace, creating confusion where there should have been clarity. And yet, you are still here, still seeking, still listening. That alone tells me everything I need to know about you. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are being watched over more closely than you realize. There is a reason your thoughts have been racing at certain moments, and then suddenly going still. A reason why some things feel off even when everything looks normal on the outside. Before you move on, hear this clearly. What you are feeling is not just emotional weight. It is a signal. A signal that something has been trying to reach you, and something else has been trying to block that connection. And right now, in this very moment, that interference is being interrupted. In the next part, you will begin to understand what has been building beneath the surface, and why the pressure you've been feeling was never meant to break you. What you've been walking through, it hasn't been random chaos. It has felt like chaos, yes, but there is a difference between disorder and hidden orchestration. My beloved child, I need you to see this clearly. The delays, the sudden stops, the plans that almost worked and then didn't, they were not signs that you are failing. They were signs that something was resisting your movement because your direction matters. You called it bad timing. You called it disappointment. But what if it was actually protection moving quietly in the background? Stay with me, because this is where your understanding begins to shift. Think about the pattern. Not just one moment, but the repeated cycle. You get close, something shifts. You begin to feel hopeful, then confusion enters. You try to move forward, and suddenly you feel drained, distracted, or unsure. That is not just life being difficult. That is pressure meeting purpose. And I know how heavy it has felt. The emotional weight, the questioning, the silent moments where you wondered if you were doing something wrong, it has been exhausting. You have carried it longer than most people would admit. But exhaustion does not mean you are off track. Sometimes it means you have been pushing through resistance you could not see. There is a difference between delay and denial. Delay feels like waiting without clarity. Denial would have closed the door completely. But your doors have not fully closed, they have paused, shifted, redirected. That is not rejection. That is timing being adjusted. You were never being blocked because you are unworthy. You were being slowed because something was not yet aligned. And here is what you must understand now. Every time something stalled, something else was being rearranged. Every moment of confusion carried a hidden movement you could not yet perceive. You were not stuck. You were being positioned. Before you move on, take a breath and let that settle. Because what felt like chaos was actually layers of unseen decisions being made around you. And there is something even deeper. There was a moment, not long ago, where something almost broke through for you. You felt it. A shift, a possibility, a door that seemed ready to open. But then, suddenly, it didn't. It felt like loss. It felt like another delay. But in the next part, you are going to understand why that moment was held back, and what was actually being prevented from reaching you. Now stay with me, because this is the part where clarity begins to cut through the confusion you've been carrying. What you felt in that moment, when something almost happened, when it seemed like things were finally about to align, that was real. You were not imagining the shift. You were standing at the edge of a breakthrough. But something else noticed it too. My beloved child, there is a difference between simple difficulty and targeted interference. And what you encountered was not random resistance. It was disruption aimed at your direction. This is where you must understand the contrast clearly: interference versus authority. Interference creates confusion, hesitation, misalignment. Authority brings clarity, peace, and forward movement. And right when you were close, confusion increased. Think back to that moment. The sudden doubt that didn't match your previous confidence. The unexpected delay that made no logical sense. The distraction that pulled your attention away at the exact wrong time. Those were not coincidences. They were interruptions. Not to destroy you, but to redirect your path away from something that was not fully aligned, even if it appeared promising on the surface. Because here is the truth you were not meant to see at that time. What almost happened was not just an opportunity, it carried a hidden weight. Something beneath it was not right for you, even though everything around it looked acceptable. And if it had fully unfolded, it would have cost you more than you realize now. So what felt like loss, was actually protection. What felt like something being taken from you, was something being kept away from you. I know that is difficult to accept, especially when you were ready, when your heart was open, when you were finally beginning to believe again. But not everything that looks like a breakthrough is sent to bless you. Some things are allowed to test your discernment. And you were not abandoned in that moment. You were covered. There are forces that try to introduce confusion at the exact moment clarity is needed. To create noise where there should be peace. To rush you when you should be still, or stall you when you are meant to move. And you felt that tension, even if you could not explain it. That internal hesitation, that pause you couldn't justify, that was not weakness. That was a warning. Before you move on, understand this deeply. You did not miss your blessing. You were shielded from something that was not fully meant for you. And the interference you experienced was not stronger than the authority over your life. It only delayed what is truly aligned, it did not cancel it. In fact, something powerful is happening right now. Because the same forces that attempted to disrupt your path have already been confronted. What was meant to confuse you is being cleared. What was meant to delay you is being overturned. And in the next part, you will begin to see how that protection is not just keeping you safe, it is actively positioning you for what is about to open in your favor. Now listen closely, because this is where everything begins to shift inside you. What you thought was loss, was never exposure. It was covering. My beloved child, you were never standing unprotected, even in the moments that felt the most uncertain. You were surrounded in ways you could not see, guarded in ways you could not measure. This is the difference you must understand now, exposure versus protection. Exposure leaves you vulnerable, open to harm without resistance. But what you experienced was not exposure. It was interception. Every delay, every redirection, every door that closed just before you stepped through it, those were not moments where you were abandoned. They were moments where you were shielded. Stay with me, because this will change how you see everything that has happened. There is a shield over your life, and it has been active this entire time. Not passive, not distant, but actively deflecting what was not meant to reach you. And there is also a sword. Not a weapon of fear, but a symbol of authority. The authority that stands over your path, cutting away what is misaligned, separating what looks good from what is truly right. That is why some things did not work out. Not because you were unprepared, but because they were not aligned. Not because you lacked something, but because something else carried a weight you were not meant to carry. You thought you were losing opportunities. But in truth, you were being preserved from consequences. Before you move on, let this settle deeply within you. Nothing that is truly meant for you can be taken by confusion, delay, or interference. It may be postponed, it may be redirected, but it cannot be removed from your path. That is protection. And protection does not always feel like comfort in the moment. Sometimes it feels like disappointment, like silence, like doors closing without explanation. But silence can be safety. A closed door can be a boundary. A delay can be a shield placed between you and something you were not meant to face. You were never as close to danger as it felt. You were closer to protection than you realized. Even in your most uncertain moments, when your thoughts were loud and your direction felt unclear, there was something steady standing over you, refusing to let you step into what was not prepared for your future. And that is why you are still here, still moving, still being guided. Because you are not exposed. You are covered. But listen carefully now, because this is where the shift begins. Protection is not the final step. Shielding is only the beginning. There comes a moment when protection transitions into movement, when what has been held back is no longer delayed, but released. And that moment is closer than you think. Now feel this shift with me, because something is changing, not slowly, not eventually, but now. You have been in a season where waiting felt endless, where movement seemed just out of reach, where every step forward was followed by hesitation or delay. But that season was never permanent. My beloved child, there is a difference between waiting and being prepared. Waiting feels like stillness without progress. Preparation feels like movement beneath the surface, even when nothing appears to change. And what you have been experiencing was preparation all along. This is the turning point. The moment where delay begins to give way to release. Where what was paused begins to move. Where what felt blocked begins to open. Stay with me, because this is where your understanding must expand. Timing is not random. It is not based on urgency or pressure. It is based on alignment. And alignment requires two things: readiness within you, and order around you. Before now, something was not fully aligned. Either within your environment, your awareness, or the unseen details surrounding your path. That is why things slowed. That is why doors paused instead of opening fully. But something has shifted. What needed to be adjusted has been adjusted. What needed to be moved has been moved. What needed to be held back has been held back long enough. And now, the resistance you felt is beginning to lift. You may not see it immediately, but you will feel it. The heaviness starts to ease. The confusion begins to clear. Decisions that once felt overwhelming start to feel simple again. This is not coincidence. This is alignment activating. Before you move on, understand this clearly. Acceleration does not mean rushing. It means moving without unnecessary resistance. It means things begin to flow instead of forcing them to happen. It means opportunities begin to meet you instead of you chasing them endlessly. You are entering that space now. And it will feel different. Where you once questioned everything, you will begin to feel a quiet certainty. Where you once hesitated, you will notice a steady confidence rising within you. Where you once felt blocked, you will begin to see small openings that lead to larger movement. This is how the shift begins. Not with overwhelming change all at once, but with subtle, undeniable movement that builds momentum. And here is what you must not do in this moment. Do not return to fear. Do not assume that because things were delayed before, they will continue to be delayed now. That was a different phase. You are not in that phase anymore. The timing has changed. Because you have changed. Because what surrounds you has changed. Because what was interfering has been addressed and is no longer holding the same power over your path. This is the release. This is the moment where what was prepared begins to meet you in reality. But listen closely, because this shift is not random or scattered. It will appear in specific ways, in clear areas of your life, where you have felt the most pressure, the most confusion, and the most waiting. In the next part, you are going to see exactly where this movement will show up, and how this breakthrough will begin to take form in 3 key areas that will redefine your direction. Now stay with me, because this is where everything begins to take shape in a way you can recognize. What has been shifting around you is not abstract. It is not distant. It is going to show up in your life in ways you can feel, see, and respond to. My beloved child, this breakthrough is not one-dimensional. It is not limited to a single moment or a single outcome. It unfolds in layers, in 3 specific areas where you have felt the most pressure. And as you hear this, you may already sense which one speaks to you first. The first dimension is within you. This is where confusion turns into clarity. For so long, your thoughts have been crowded. You have questioned your direction, your decisions, even your worth at times. It felt like you were trying to move forward without being certain of your next step. But that is beginning to change. You will notice a quiet shift. Not loud, not overwhelming, but steady. Thoughts that once felt tangled will begin to separate. What once felt uncertain will begin to feel clear enough to act on. This is not pressure. This is alignment. You are not being forced into decisions. You are being guided into understanding. And when clarity returns, fear loses its hold. Now listen closely, because the second dimension moves outward. This is where relationships begin to realign. Not everyone around you is meant to walk into this next phase with you. And you may have already felt that tension, the subtle distance, the change in energy that you could not fully explain. Some connections will strengthen. Others will quietly fall away. This is not rejection. This is alignment at work. Where there was confusion in how people showed up for you, there will be clarity. Where there was imbalance, there will either be restoration or release. And you will feel the difference. You will no longer need to question who is for you and who is not. It will become evident through peace or through disconnection. That is part of the breakthrough. Because the right connections do not create chaos in your spirit. They bring steadiness. Now the third dimension, this is where many of you have been waiting the longest. Provision. Not just in the sense of finances, but in opportunities, resources, and openings that support your path. Where there has been lack, there will begin to be movement. Where doors felt closed, you will start to notice access. But understand this clearly. This is not about sudden, overwhelming change that leaves you unprepared. It is about aligned provision that meets you as you step forward. It may come through an idea, a connection, a timing shift, or an unexpected opening. And when it comes, it will feel different from what you experienced before. There will be less strain, less confusion, more flow. That is how you will recognize it. Because what is aligned does not fight against your peace. Before you move on, take a moment and let this settle. Clarity within you. Alignment around you. Provision moving toward you. This is the structure of what is unfolding. But listen carefully now, because this is important. Not everything connected to this breakthrough is meant to remain. Some things will come into your awareness only to be released. Some doors will open only to show you what no longer fits. And in the next part, you will understand why letting go is not loss, but a necessary step to fully step into what is truly aligned for you. Now stay with me, because this part requires honesty, not fear, and courage, not hesitation. As this breakthrough begins to unfold, you will feel something else rising within you, a quiet knowing about what no longer fits. My beloved child, this is where discernment becomes your protection. There is a difference between attachment and alignment. Attachment holds on because it is familiar, because it feels safe, because it has history. Alignment, however, moves with purpose. It chooses what supports your path, not just what surrounds you. And right now, you are being called into alignment. This is why certain things have already started to feel different. Conversations that once felt easy now feel heavy. Situations you once tolerated now create discomfort. Even your own habits, your own patterns, may feel out of place. This is not confusion. This is clarity emerging. Before you move on, hear this deeply. You are not being asked to lose anything of value. You are being guided to release what no longer carries the same alignment with where you are going. And yes, that can feel uncomfortable. Because letting go often feels like loss when you are still emotionally connected. It can feel like you are giving something up, like you are walking away from something that once mattered. But there is a difference between something that mattered and something that still belongs. Some things were meant for a season, not a lifetime. And holding on to them beyond their time creates resistance in your path. That is what you have been feeling. Not failure, not confusion, resistance. The weight of carrying what you were never meant to carry into this next phase. Stay with me, because this is important. Separation is not punishment. It is refinement. It is the process of removing what does not align so that what does align can fully reach you. And you are not meant to do this with fear. You are meant to do this with peace. That is how you will know the difference. When something is meant to be released, there will be a quiet clarity, even if your emotions hesitate. There will be a sense of knowing beneath the surface, even if your thoughts try to argue with it. That is discernment. And you do not need to force anything. You do not need to create dramatic endings or sudden decisions. Sometimes, separation happens through gentle distance. Through less effort. Through no longer holding on as tightly as you once did. Boundaries do not have to be loud to be powerful. They only need to be true. And as you begin to honor that truth, something else will happen. You will feel lighter. Not immediately in every moment, but gradually, steadily, as the weight begins to lift. Because you are no longer carrying what was not meant for your future. Before you move forward, understand this clearly. Letting go does not mean something was wrong. It means something has completed its purpose. And completion is not loss. It is transition. You are being moved into a space where what surrounds you reflects where you are going, not where you have been. And that requires space. Space that can only be created when you release what no longer fits. Now listen closely, because you will not be left guessing in this process. In the next 48 to 72 hours, you are going to notice clear confirmations. Subtle but undeniable signs that show you what to keep, what to release, and what is already shifting around you. And in the next part, you will understand exactly what to look for, and how to recognize these signs with confidence instead of doubt. Now stay attentive, because this next window is not ordinary time. The next 48 to 72 hours carry a sensitivity you will feel if you remain present. My beloved child, this is where confusion begins to separate from clarity in a way that is unmistakable. You are not meant to rush through these hours. You are meant to notice them. There is a difference between reacting and recognizing. Reacting is quick, driven by emotion, often pulling you back into old patterns. Recognizing is still, aware, and guided. And in this window, recognition will matter. You will begin to notice small but meaningful shifts. A thought that comes with peace instead of pressure. A decision that suddenly feels simple after days of overthinking. A moment where your mind quiets without effort. These are not random experiences. These are signals. Stay with me, because there is more. You may receive unexpected messages. Not always dramatic, not always obvious, but timely. A conversation, a word, a reminder that seems to arrive at the exact moment you needed it. Pay attention to how it feels, not just what it says. Clarity carries calm. Confusion carries urgency. This is how you discern what is aligned. You may also notice the opposite. Something that once seemed appealing may suddenly feel heavy or off. A plan that felt right before may now feel uncertain or forced. Do not ignore that shift. It is not you becoming inconsistent. It is you becoming aware. Before you move on, understand this clearly. You do not need to chase answers in this window. You need to allow them to come to you. Because what is aligned will not require you to strain for it. It will meet you with a sense of steadiness, even if it asks for courage. This is not the time for impulsive decisions. This is the time for intentional awareness. Let things unfold. Let conversations reveal themselves. Let your own inner response guide you more than external pressure. And most importantly, slow down enough to feel the difference between peace and pressure. because that difference will guide you more accurately than logic alone. You may also experience moments of sudden stillness, where everything feels quiet, almost paused. Do not mistake that for emptiness. That is space. Space where clarity settles, where direction becomes visible, where you are being aligned internally before you act externally. Stay with that stillness. Do not rush to fill it. Because in that quiet, you will recognize what truly belongs in your next step. Now listen carefully. Everything you notice in these hours is not just information. It is invitation. An invitation to move differently, to respond differently, to choose alignment over habit. And this is where your role becomes active. Because awareness alone is not enough. What you agree with, what you speak, and what you accept internally will shape how this shift unfolds for you. In the next part, you are going to step into that alignment intentionally, through the words you speak, the agreement you make, and the direction you choose to accept within yourself. Now this is where everything becomes personal. You have seen, you have felt, you have begun to understand, but now you must choose. Because there is a difference between hearing truth and agreeing with it. My beloved child, this is the moment where passivity ends and alignment begins. Stay with me, because what you are about to do is not complicated, but it is powerful. Your agreement matters. What you accept within yourself, what you speak, what you allow to settle in your heart, these shape how this shift unfolds in your life. So do not just listen. Participate. Take a slow breath right now, and let your body settle. Let your thoughts slow down, even if only for a moment. And as you do, begin to align your words with what has already been set in motion. Say this within yourself, or out loud if you can. I am not delayed, I am being aligned. What is meant for me is not lost, it is being prepared. I am protected, covered, and guided in ways I cannot always see. Let those words sit with you. Not as empty phrases, but as agreement. Because every time you choose alignment over fear, something shifts within you. Now continue. I release what no longer belongs in my path. I let go of confusion, pressure, and misalignment. I welcome clarity, peace, and direction into my life. Feel the difference in those words. Release versus holding. Clarity versus confusion. Peace versus pressure. This is not just language. This is positioning. Before you move on, stay here for a moment. Because your heart needs to catch up with what your mind is hearing. Now we move into a simple prayer. Not something distant or formal, but something real, something that meets you where you are. Take a breath, and let this become your own. Father, I come into agreement with what is aligned for my life. I release the need to control every outcome, and I trust that what is being guided toward me is for my good. Remove what is not meant for me, even if I do not fully understand it yet. Strengthen my discernment so I can recognize peace over pressure. Give me clarity where there has been confusion, and stillness where there has been noise. I choose to trust the process I cannot yet see. Amen. Stay with that for a moment. Do not rush past it. Because this is where alignment becomes real. Not in what you hear, but in what you accept. And as you sit in this, notice how your body responds. There may be a sense of calm, a softening, a quiet steadiness that was not there before. That is not imagined. That is alignment settling within you. Now listen carefully. You are not waiting anymore. You are participating. You are not hoping something changes. You are agreeing with what is already shifting. And that agreement creates movement. Even if you cannot yet see it fully. Before you move on, understand this. Alignment grows stronger when it is reinforced. Not just within you, but around you. There is something powerful about shared agreement, about speaking truth in unity, about not walking this shift alone. And in the next part, you will see why what you do next, who you connect with, and how you express this alignment, will deepen and strengthen everything that is already beginning to unfold. Now before you move on, I want you to understand something deeply. You were never meant to walk through moments like this alone. What you've just experienced, what you've felt shifting inside you, it grows stronger when it is shared, when it is spoken, when it is anchored not just within you, but around you. My beloved child, there is a difference between isolation and community. Isolation keeps everything internal. It makes you question what you feel, second-guess what you sense, and sometimes even silence what is real within you. But community brings confirmation. It reminds you that you are not the only one feeling this shift, not the only one being guided, not the only one stepping into alignment right now. So do not stay silent in this moment. If this message resonated with you, if something within you felt seen, I want you to take a simple step. Write this in the comments: I am aligned and protected. Not as a trend. Not as a routine. But as agreement. Because when you put those words into action, when you declare them openly, something shifts from internal belief to outward confirmation. And there is power in that. Stay with me, because this matters more than you think. When you see others declaring the same, when you read their words, their experiences, their confirmations, it strengthens your own alignment. It removes doubt. It replaces isolation with connection. And suddenly, what felt like something you were carrying alone becomes something you are walking through together. That is how alignment grows. Now if you feel led, share this message with someone who has been struggling, someone who has been in that place of confusion, delay, or quiet pressure. Not because you are trying to convince them, but because you recognize what they may need to hear. Sometimes, being the person who shares clarity is part of your own alignment. And if you want to continue walking in this kind of awareness, stay connected here. Not out of obligation, but out of intention. Because these moments are not one-time events. They are part of an ongoing process of clarity, protection, and direction that continues to unfold. And for those who choose to support this space, understand this clearly. Support is not a transaction. It is not a way to receive more or secure something for yourself. It is simply a way to sustain a place where messages like this can continue to reach those who need them. Nothing more, nothing less. Before you move on, take a breath and feel what has shifted within you. Because what you just engaged in is not small. It is alignment being strengthened through connection. And in the next moment, you are going to receive something that brings all of this together. A final blessing that settles everything into peace and seals what has already begun within you. Now let everything settle. You have moved from confusion into clarity, from pressure into understanding, from fear into alignment. And in this moment, you do not need to strive, you do not need to figure everything out. You only need to receive. My beloved child, let this peace come over you now. Not a distant peace, not something you have to chase, but a quiet, steady assurance that you are not alone, that you are not unprotected, and that you are not moving without direction. You are guided. Even when you could not see it, you were guided. Even when things felt uncertain, you were covered. Even when you questioned everything, there was still something holding your path steady. Let that truth rest in you now. Take a slow breath and release the tension you have been carrying. You do not need to hold it anymore. Where there was anxiety, let there now be calm. Where there was confusion, let there now be clarity. Where there was heaviness, let there now be lightness. This is not something you force. This is something you allow. Because peace does not come through control. It comes through trust. And right now, you are stepping into that trust. Before you move on, receive this blessing. May your mind be quiet where it has been restless. May your heart be steady where it has been uncertain. May your path be clear where it once felt hidden. May what is meant for you come into alignment with ease, without confusion, without strain. And may what is not meant for you fall away without taking your peace with it. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where you need to be for what is about to unfold. Let that settle deeply within you. Because what has begun in this moment is not temporary. It is not a brief feeling that fades when you move on. It is a shift. A realignment that continues beyond this moment, beyond this message, into the next steps you are about to take. And as you leave this space, do not return to the mindset you had before. Carry this awareness with you. Carry this calm with you. Carry this trust with you. Because something has already begun. In the next 3 hours, you may notice the first sign. Something small, something subtle, something that confirms what you have felt here. Do not overlook it. Because it is not the end of something. It is the beginning. The beginning of a path that unfolds step by step, moment by moment, in ways you will continue to recognize as you stay aligned. And this is only the first sign of what is still to come.